Kia ora, Yasmin. We've got you here for People for Palestine. It's great to have you here submitting for this subcommittee of the Justice Select Committee. We've set aside 10 minutes for you, so without further ado, I'll hand straight over to you. Kia ora.
Tēnā koe to the chair, tēnā koutou katoa to the committee. Nā mihi nui ki a koutou, thank you for your time today. My name is Chloe Lundy Hodge, and with me today is Yasmin Sirhan. We are here today representing People for Palestine, a group of organisers and advocates across the motu who are focused on educating the people of Aotearoa on the cause for Palestinian liberation from the racist and violent ideology of Zionism. We recognise that peaceful, powerful resistance to injustice and ongoing colonialism is our necessary duty. And so today we submit an opposition to the Treaty Principles Bill in solidarity with tangata whenua and tangata tiriti. We also want to formally acknowledge and tautoko the submission of our Justice for Palestine whānau. He hono tangata e kore e motu, ka pā he taura waka e motu. We affirm that Māori did not cede sovereignty at the signing of Te Tiriti. Therefore, People for Palestine stands against any questioning of or any changes being made to Te Tiriti without the consultation and consent of Māori. We are especially concerned when those changes are being done in the name of so-called equality, but are really actually running cover for the removal of the protections that Te Tiriti provides for the resources of our whenua and waters. We stand for the protection of ki uta ki tai, which Te Tiriti or Waitangi leads us in.
Assalamu alaikum, tēnā koutou katoa. Today I will share my story as a Palestinian living in Aotearoa and the intertwined aspirations Māori and the Palestinian people have for tino rangatiratanga and mana motuhake. During the Nakba in 1948, my family were ethnically cleansed from their homeland and forcibly displaced by Zionist paramilitaries so they could bring in European settlers to form the State of Israel. Just like here in Aotearoa, the British and other imperialist states facilitated and funded this colonial violence through non-consulted declarations, extreme breaches of international law, and endless financial aid for warfare. You will know that this extreme colonial violence is still occurring today, and we are now in month 16 of the live stream genocide ongoing on my people by the State of Israel. My family has not yet been granted the right to return, and I have never been able to touch the soil of my homeland. Palestinians have paid the ultimate price of colonial governments making declarations in our name without any legitimate form of consultation or concern for our human rights. As proud tangata tiriti here in Aotearoa, we refuse to let these wrongs be replicated on the Indigenous peoples of this whenua. I carry the painful history with me and of my people with me today because I see the connections between the racist ideology of Zionism and the racist and harmful intentions of the Treaty Principles Bill. The main cheerleader of the bill is a Zionist sympathizer and a genocide denier who has connections to far-right networks and organizations that fund and provide social cover for Israel's decades of human rights abuses. We as a group can see that this bill is yet another endeavour by this colonial coalition to create their own whitewash definition of equity and to force assimilation on Māori and erase their Indigenous identity, just as Zionists have tried to do to us, the Palestinian people. But we know as Indigenous peoples that our power is in our mutual solidarity, collective memory, and our understanding of colonisation, and we will never give up fighting for what is ours and what belongs to Indigenous peoples. Today, I also want to touch on our protection to have the religious and spiritual freedom to practice Islam in Aotearoa, which Te Tiriti provides the framework and example for. Of course, I'm speaking to Article 4 of Te Tiriti, Wairuatanga. A lot of the disingenuous conversation about this bill is equity. But what is more equitable than tupuna Māori having the foresight of knowing that other nations would be coming here and ensuring that they are free to practice their own ways of faith and spirituality? We, People for Palestine, believe that this is a strong and lasting example of how Te Tiriti protects us and gives us the holistic framework to live together on this whenua. One of our foundational values within the Palestinian movement for liberation is the indivisibility of our cause, meaning that we work to bring justice to all Palestinians, whether we are living in occupied Palestine or in the diaspora, like myself. I draw on this value of kotahitanga because we know that our struggle for liberation is interconnected with the liberation of all Indigenous peoples. Our mana motuhake is incomplete without Māori having theirs in full. So as long as my whānau resides on this whenua, before we return to our own, we stand united with tangata whenua in their fight for tino rangatiratanga. We call on this committee to throw this bill out and instead recommend the implementation of the values of Mātiki Mai for the transformation of the current state for the benefit of all and to truly honour Te Tiriti. Mai te awa ki te moana.
Koe tū te tiriti.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Steve Abel has a question.
Kia ora, thank you both very much, and thank you for sharing the your lived experience of being Palestinians fighting for justice in your land. I think one thing that's been very striking for us understanding what settler colonialism is that we've had this real-time example in its most atrocious version with the genocide that you referred to that's been going on. And it gives us insight to what settler colonization looks like right now. It's an ongoing process. It's founded in the same principles of assimilation and denial of Indigenous rights that all of the colonizations are founded in. So absolutely tōko your drawing of the links there. And I just want to say, imagine had those who wish to set up a state of Israel, imagine had they actually started with a conversation with the Indigenous people of Palestine and considered a treaty of agreement rather than a declaration of terra nullius via in the Balfour Declaration. Imagine had they said, let's go and have a conversation with the Indigenous people of Palestine about whether there's a place for those escaping the horrors of Europe in the 40s, but also before then, the Jews that were persecuted and had atrocities committed against them by Europeans. Imagine if that had happened instead of what we saw over the last many decades since the Nakba.
Aye.
Kia ora. And we believe that actually the Select Committee have a real opportunity to push for that to happen here, for us to have genuine meetings with Māori, to have genuine consideration of all human rights in this, and not acting on behalf of a group without their consent.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Thank you, Chloe and Yasmin, for your submission. It's really appreciated. Thank you for your written submission as well. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Free Palestine.